now tuned into the greatest.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Sage Be Me podcast. I'll be your host today, Sage Be Me, and my co-host will be
Anonymous 99.
So we'll basically be having this session where Anonymous 99 and I will be talking about something that happens within the relationship between the guy and the dude. We'll basically be diving deep, analyzing situations, talking about our perspectives on whatever it is that will be like, whatever it is will be our main topic of that day. So, Anonymous, tell us today, what do you think basically the guy and dudette, do they say dudettes?
Dudettes, huh?
Yeah. Like, what's the relationship between a guy and a chick? Like, there's basically exchange. There's basically some who aren't down for the exchange, who just want to be there. Like, what's your take on it?
In my opinion, I think most things in life are about an exchange. So it's you're giving up something for something else in everything, you know, whether you're a parent, whether you're a child, whether you're an adult or an old person, whether you're working or out there having fun in social dynamics, whether you're with a friend, whether you're alone, you have to be giving up something to get something else, you know. Even in religion, you know, you have to give up sin, you know, for the kingdom, right? Yeah. And I think this applies differently even in different religions, but that's my opinion, you know. For even the relationships between like men and women, it's basically an exchange, you know. And it doesn't have to be like an explicit exchange where maybe money is involved, but you're always giving up something for something else.
That makes sense. Yeah. But you'll find that in today's world, like, people have or make it feel like money is like the basis of the exchange, you know. Like, let me take a good example. A girl will say, what's the point of me having a boyfriend if he doesn't have money?
Yeah.
A dude, there are guys who are like comfortable with that, like, I'll give you money, you just be around. There's those who are not comfortable with that, and this is basically where conflict arises.
Yeah.
One doesn't want to make the exchange, the other one keeps on insisting on the exchange. So how would you suggest like a person to handle a situation where, like, let's say there's a guy and a girl, they're debating, and the chick is like, what's the point of me having a boyfriend and he is not giving me money? So how would you suggest the guy to handle such a situation, in the sense that he doesn't have money? So unajua, like, guys aonanga pesa si ati inakuanga tu ready to dispose.
Yeah.
So how would you suggest that this guy handle such kind of a situation? While before we just talked like there's this and this and this out there. This is just like an example or something.
In my opinion, I think in any trade, in any exchange, no price is unfair and no good is unworthy of exchange, right? Any trade involves a willing buyer and a willing seller, you know. If you're ready to sell your car for 250k and there's a buyer who's willing to buy it for 250k, whether it's worth 250k or it's worth 50k because of the damage that it's in, does not really matter, right? What matters is, have you found somebody who's willing to pay that much, right? If they're paying and they don't know that they're paying and under false maybe advertisement, and they don't know they're actually paying for something that's not worth the amount that they're paying, that's another topic for a different day. However, everything is about willing buyer and willing seller. So, you know, it's in my opinion, the girl who wants money from the boyfriend is fine, you know. She has all the right to want money from the boyfriend, but she has to find somebody who's willing to give her money for whatever she's offering. You get? It's the same like it's the same as the situation where you'd probably go to the, excuse my language going forward, but maybe you go to the street or to a club and you're looking for sexual favors.
Yeah.
If somebody is willing to give you some sexual favors for a certain amount, I mean, no one is getting a raw end of that deal. You're getting your services,
and they're getting
the girl is getting the money, So I think at the end of the day is find somebody who's willing to give you whatever you want in exchange for what you are willing to give. Right? So it's basically that. If you want to exchange your attention and sexual favors for money, I mean that's upon
okay.
you.
That's yours.
But like don't imagine that such an exchange does not mean exactly what it means. If you're exchanging sexual favors for money, it's the same as you exchanging,
It's the trade.
Yeah, it's the trade. And you might argue, some people might argue, what's the difference between that person and somebody who's going to, like
prostitution.
Exactly. To Koinange Street or wherever, and pay for something.
Yeah.
So when people say it's like you're buying, no, they have all the right to, because you're behaving like
somebody who's doing that type of business.
Exactly.
So like people shouldn't take this personally.
Yeah.
Like they should just like what's right with you, you just go with that. What's right with you. If you feel like you're not up for this trade, then well and good, you just vamoose yourself.
Yeah. It depends on you. Are you ready to pay for the nunu? Are you ready to pay for nani? If you're ready to pay for it,
because I was actually having this talk with a friend of mine. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She actually, because I was asking like it was this conversation like the one I've been talking about. Like, if you're a boyfriend, why aren't you like you spending on me or something of the sort? Yeah. So I was like, what's the difference between your boyfriend? As in, I was like, there's no difference between your boyfriend and your friend. As in, that from my point of view, like, if I'm your boyfriend, like, I should be like your friend. As in, hakuna tofauti.
Yeah.
If I have money, if I don't have money. So then she said like, Yenny, you're getting this thing for free. And I was like, oh. As in like there's a price tag on it. As in it's like subconsciously implanted in people's mind. I'm something of the sort. I don't know. And I haven't really quite understood that. So basically we have just introduced guys to like what we'll be talking about.
So you see, she's not wrong, but she shouldn't assume that every other girl or every other guy expects such an exchange. It also comes from the kind of social conditioning that she's used to. What kind of home has she grown up in? What kind of friends does she have? It's like you growing up in a place where guns are not used. You don't see people getting shot
or hear gunshots or anything.
It would make you feel like seeing a gun being carried across, like somebody walking with a gun on the street is something strange. Exactly. However, if you grew up in a different area or different part of the world where there's war every day, maybe Pakistan against Israel or Palestine, against Israel, and people had to always protect themselves, you'd think that usage of guns or walking with a gun and showing it is normal. Yeah. So it depends on how what you're used to, how you're brought up, or what type of friends you have,
or the background that you have.
Exactly.
In the sense that this will make you comfortable in this kind of situation.
Exactly. Yeah. So if you're used to that situation where girls only have sex with men because they have been given something in return, whether it's money or gifts or any other form of monetary or material exchange, then that's the kind of exchange that you'd be expecting from the guy that you get with. So it's one of those things.
So on that note, there's this guy. I think his name is the guy who wrote Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yeah. Robert
Kiyosaki. So he said like a con man is a good person.
Yeah.
Because he tells you what you want to hear. So after he tells you what you want to hear, then you give him or her your money, then she vamooses with it, yeah? He told you what you wanted to hear. And there's nothing wrong with that. You got to hear what you wanted. You got to it's an assurance of what you actually thought could happen, which has been given to you. So you think, this is how it's supposed to be. This is why ABCD is happening, yeah?
Yeah.
Even politicians do this to some point, yeah. So like in a relationship, people feel like it's like I shouldn't lie, you get, but people just find themselves lying, yeah. But in the sense that they're lying, they're actually convincing you of something that you want to hear.
Exactly. Yeah.
So like, how do you explain that? Okay, people say that it's bad to lie, but they end up just telling you what you want to hear, just in order to get whatever they want from you. You get?
Yeah. So how do you justify it?
Yeah. As in, how do, like the lie, how do I just, let's say I'm lying to this chick, yeah? Like I'm telling her how I want her, how she's so close and dear to me. But I'm also telling like other 5 chicks the same thing, yeah? These are the ones that, wait, before we continue to that, who is considered a player? Someone in a relationship having other affairs, or just a guy with many?
If you're, I think for you to be considered a player, you have to be playing several people. That means you have to be, and I think this is very important to get out of the way. It's like, for you to be a player, you have to be playing something or playing someone, right? So it's like maybe you're giving a certain impression that is not actually true, and so or telling lies, or or maneuvering and manipulating. So that's what I'd call a player. So maybe you have several people, but they do not know, or they do not have full. They are not probably in a position where they have all the information, or they have full control of whatever is happening, right? Because if you're seeing several people and they all know what is happening, you're not really lying. They all know. Sage is Sage, and Sage likes to date around, and he's not really lying to me. If I ask him, he'll tell me, right? So you might not necessarily be considered a player, right? But for you to be a player, you have to kind of be, kind of manipulative, kind of like, playing games. So, because even in certain religions, you're allowed to see several people, you're allowed to marry several people. Doesn't mean you're playing your 4 wives. It's like, because they know each other, the religion recognizes your unions. It's okay. So it's out there. Yeah.
So the difference between a player and these other guys is like, a player is like basically withholding some information. Well, this other one is just like clean out there, and he's like, this is just we are still friends, but we are doing this. And it's okay. So that's basically what I've gotten. Because I had this question, like, a friend of mine, he was actually being told that he is a player, and from my point of view, he usually tells each and every girl out there
what's happening.
He's really like, I'm single, man, and at the moment I don't want to be in a relationship, but we can have this kind of relationship.
Also, another thing that's very poisonous is for you to assume somebody is faithful to you, and yet there are no specific agreements between the two of you. And maybe if you've been going out and you've been getting intimate together all the way, probably you'd probably assume this person is only doing that with you. But if he's not necessarily cheating on you, because you haven't really agreed, on like, are we in a relationship? Are you, So it's very important sometimes.
Like, before you actually get into a relationship or make any like decisions in your head, like you speak it out.
Yeah, let it be out there,
Like you talk and agree, like this is what you and I are, this is what we're doing, or this is our goal at the end of the day. Not just to get angry or sad at whatever it is that you're seeing if someone goes like astray.
Yeah.
And have you ever noticed that well, some guys are in the talking stages, they often think that they are in a relationship with this chick. Even there are some chicks who do this, like they think that this guy is just mine and mine alone, but they've not really communicated about it or anything. You get?
Yeah.
How comes like people like assume it, as in it's the first thing that people just think, because ABCD, me and him are doing this, it's best that we are together, you get?
Yeah.
How comes people like automatically assume? Because I've been in that situation myself, and I was like, how comes I'm in talking stages with this chick and I can't find myself like talking to other people the same way I'm talking to this chick? I found myself in that situations a couple of times.
So you're talking to someone and you don't feel like talking the same way to other people yourself?
Yeah.
Is it because you feel like like this, whatever you have between the two of you is special? Yeah. I mean, and that's, you see, and that's why you have to, it's like a personal decision, and also it comes back to that whole idea of a trade between two things. It's like you have to be willing. It's not something that somebody else is like enforcing on you, right? If you feel that way, then how do I put this? Maybe I didn't get your question right. Is it that are you asking why do you feel that way, or
no? Like my like questioning my actions. Yeah. Like I know, as in I actually know that me and her, we are not a thing, but we have a thing. But I immediately assume that we are a thing. So in the sense,
the question is, why do you
assume? Why do I like just jump in?
Why is that happening? Or is that like something good, or is that something bad, or like what's the question?
Like, how comes I assume immediately? As in, you get, like I just assume like she's mine. Like, if anything goes wrong, I can just run over to her.
Yeah.
And she'll just drop whatever it is and listen to me or something. It's just an assumption that I actually...
You feel entitled to such certain reactions from her.
Yes.
I mean, that's... No one is entitled to anything from anyone else, especially if there's no, like, explicit agreement or something that binds them to react in a certain way towards you, or a certain way towards, like, your actions or your so what I'll say is that also depends on where you're coming from, what you're used to, what you're expecting, right, of what you've previously experienced. Maybe that's why psychology, many doctors or many memes usually refer to the fact that every problem might have ensued or might have come from probably your mother
or the family or
exactly,
something.
Because how you're brought up or what situation you came from, it really determines how you see things, right? Or what you watch or what you listen to. So you might believe in a certain theory or a certain phenomenon called the one-itis or one-itis. So you might believe that there's this whole idea where there's soulmates and one person meets another person and there's something special that occurs between. That it doesn't mean that these things don't happen. They sometimes they do happen, and it's a good thing when it happens and when people find love, right? However, it's not necessarily like, unless the other person, I don't know how to put this. And if you're entitled, it doesn't really. I don't know how to put it. It's like it doesn't force or it doesn't doesn't require the other person to actually do the things that you feel like you're entitled to. And you're setting yourself up for
disaster.
Exactly, for like disappointment. It's like yeah, and I think that's about it. It's you expect something because you expect something, not because the other person has told you
that they'll do it or something.
Yeah. So I think that's about it. It's not bad, but it's also bad. It's like you're setting yourself up for disappointment if they don't follow up
with your expectations.
Exactly. And they're not in the wrong if they don't follow up with the expectations.
So that makes sense because it's not something that you both agreed on.
Yeah.
So if it happens against whatever you thought, then it's okay. It's not something that you're supposed to get angry at or mad at.
Yeah.
In any point or aspect of it. Because I've actually been thinking, most of the people like get disappointed like in like small stuff, as in because someone else is manipulative and you didn't think that they're manipulative, you get angry at them. And it's not like she didn't show you the signs. It's like you saw but you decided I'll just brush it off. Because most of the time people will actually say, now you've shown me the real you.
Yeah, but they have been showing you the real you the whole time. Right?
As in, there's no change. Like, so like when people say people change, like no, people don't change. They have actually been showing you it's that
the whole time. It's just that you haven't been paying attention. Yeah, and you see, it's not always that way. However, it's like there are no absolute generalizations. Sometimes the person has been actually hiding certain things about themselves, like which is very common in like women. Because some women, especially if they want you to maybe commit to them or give them an opportunity, they'll show you the best side
about them,
or they show you what you expect to see about them. Right? They can pretend, and I've heard this from, bless her, my mother. Growing up, she was like, you have to be very careful with women. It's like, don't always assume you know this woman, because a woman who wants something and is dedicated to that mission can pretend, especially to another person, a man especially, in a relationship for over. She wasn't specific with the years, but I don't know why I have this number, like for over 10 years. Right? She can show you that this is the kind of person she is, and she's like this perfect person, just so that you marry her, just so that like you commit to her,
provide for her.
And then when she has everything on lock and she knows, I've got this guy, I've got Sage, that's when she shows herself. She shows her talents. She shows like what she has been hiding, what she has been putting down and tying with that, those constants to hide your tummy. She'll show her true self. So there's that, but not always. And for most human beings, you can actually prevent certain disappointments by just observing what they do even more than what they say. So don't set yourself up for disappointments by assuming or ignoring certain red flags.
Yeah, it's like a friend of mine. He told me that he had this girlfriend. She was not really emotionally abusive, but physically abusive. But he didn't quite understand this at first because he was like completely infatuated. This chick like broke his stuff. The reason being like, see, the guy is like you said, the 180s believes that she is the one. The chick is telling him that no, I think we need to part. Even though I love you, I don't want to be with you. The guy wasn't listening, so the chick decided to break his stuff. So like the dude at the back of his mind, he's like, I love this woman, but the woman is like destroying his stuff. Like nobody's business. Because personally I discovered that for us guys, like once you get like to know where gold, you can dig your gold. You exhaust it and you dig your gold till you feel. So money for you won't be a problem. So you can spend it however you want.
True.
But when it comes to like a woman, like if you've not been like around women much, and you get just one to be around you, you feel like this is something that you really lacked in your life, and you don't realize that this is something that you are the one who put yourself in a position not to get. Why have I said this? Because I wanted to talk about another guy, a friend of mine.
Yeah.
For him, the woman was like emotionally abusive. Why am I saying this? Most of the time, she will get angry at, let's say, the way Kenyans say, the other person makes her angry, so she brings the anger to you. But in her sense, it wasn't another guy. It was basically something to do with the family, the mom, and everything. So she used to come this side and blame it all on the guy, and the guy like wasn't there, as in he was like, what the hell is happening? Because we've not talked the whole day. You're bringing up this attitude that I'm even wondering
Where it's coming from.
yeah. So like there are guys who are facing this, they don't know how to handle it, and they think that there is something wrong with that, forgetting like it's something that's out there.
Yeah.
So I don't know, I think we should be wrapping up, because this is like basically the introduction, and we've been giving up bits and bits about what we'll be talking about. Because this is actually the second episode that we're recording, because our first episode we recorded it, and while like I was editing it, I felt like we were giving these guys like a lot of information at
all
the
at once.
first go.
And
it was like like we should like tone down a bit, at least people get to understand what we're talking about. So we've basically talked about for people who weren't like keen, we've talked about how people want to be convinced of something. We've talked about the types of convincing, and before we wrap it up, I'd like for you to like tell guys that people should be okay with agreeing to disagree. Let's take Andrew Kibe for an example, or Amerix. They basically talk about the same thing, how as a man you should like have money, and after you have your money, the women will come, and like the woman, it's like the way to relate, say, she's talking to me like she's paying rent, like you can't tell me anything because I'm providing. That's basically the concept that they are talking about. What about these other guys who like, you can tell me something even though you're not providing? What about those guys? What about those guys that she's providing and he's just there? Like, as in, do you feel like there's something wrong with that? As in, because when people like look at Andrew or Americ's content, people feel like this is how a man's supposed to be, but there's actually no definition for how a man is supposed to be. Because if you look at it this other way, there are men who are being provided for by women but are actually the men of the house. There are men who are providing, but the woman is like the man of the house, in quotes, for lack of a better word. And people feel like, at the moment, people feel like there's only one definition for man, and that's how a man is, or you get.
So yeah, in my opinion, I think I've heard this somewhere as well. I wish I could reference it. There's no one with a monopoly on information or knowledge. You know, there's no one who knows everything that there is to know.
Like a man can't be smarter than the whole nation.
Exactly. So and you learn something from engaging with other people from the same field or from different fields who have certain experiences, because knowledge comes from life experiences. It also comes from what you're born with, what comes innate, but it also comes from listening to other people and what they say about what they've seen in life. Maybe there's certain information which is better than other for different reasons, but there's no one who knows everything there is to know, and and especially with life, there's no specific way to live that is like the correct way to live, unless you're probably following religious scriptures. There's no other way there's no other way that doesn't define, say, good or bad, that just defines what should be done and what shouldn't be done in a way that doesn't really shun or doesn't really talk negatively about certain things, like how religious scripture would talk about sin and being righteous. Leave that aside. When you come back to life, and when it's about everything else, like what career to take, or what shoes to buy, or what hair color to have, there are certain things that are not stipulated, and you don't have to follow a certain way of life, because there's nowhere that says this is how life should be done. And and that is a good thing about the human race. Everyone is different, and everyone being different contributes to the wholesome of the whole population, right?
Yeah.
We get to learn from a doctor, and you get to learn from an engineer, you get to learn from a carpenter, and you get to learn from a tailor, right? And there's no specific way that everything should be done, because people are different. And so maybe there's an idea of an ideal man, right? And as long as this ideal man or this ideal characteristics are positive, and they're not really shunning something else or talking negatively about other characteristics or other character traits, then I think it's okay. It's not, you don't have to necessarily be that ideal man, right? If you want to be, it's a free world. You can be, right? So it's one of those things. You can't force someone not to be, as I've very commonly heard, a kinuthia, right?
Yeah.
If at the end of the day, life is about choices. Life is about exchanges. So if somebody wants to be a kinuthia and he's found someone else, a woman, who's willing to be the opposite of a kinuthia and take advantage of him, and he's happy with that, then that's his own choice.
That's choice, yeah.
And it's no one's business to go teaching people who do not want to learn. So it's like you coming to this podcast. If you want to come to this podcast and listen and learn from it, that's fine. No one has forced you to, right? If you disagree, that's okay. We'd also like maybe to have some forums where we can have an exchange and probably learn from each other. So there's no absolute. There's no absolute anything. There's no. In fact, there's. I think I read this somewhere. There's no absolute generalization about anything. Right? Right, especially in life, and even that statement itself is wrong because it sounds absolute. Right? So there's that, and that's just how life is. There's nothing that's absolute. So that's my opinion. You live your life how you want to live it. Right? If you know you jump off if you know that if you jump off a building you die, and you still jump off the building, that's your
decision.
Yeah, that's your life. That's your decision. So I think that's what I take of it.
So this is where we've wrapped up the episode of today, and I think it's fairly a good how should I say this? A good explanation of what's to come. So we'll be Anonymous 99 and I will be basically dealing with the relationship matters, and we'll be getting to like different points of views. We'll be agreeing to disagree, we'll be agreeing, we'll be
disagreeing to agree.
We'll basically be everywhere. We'll be even talking about like how you could take a girl on a date, like a cheap one will be an expensive one. We'll be talking about a lot of things. We'll be even talking about how you got a girl, then you fell off with them because of something that you did, or maybe she did, then you didn't know how to react to it.
And different things work for different people in different ways. it doesn't mean anyone's formula is the most correct
one.
No?
So you'll basically be getting something that you can apply to your daily lives, or you can reflect upon it, because like we said, no one is smarter than a nation.
A nation, true.
Yeah. So and we'll basically be looking in the future. We'll be looking on ways like we will get other people like actively involved,
engaged.
Yeah, so that we can engage you guys. So I hope you liked today's episode, and we hope to see you in the next episode.
It was good to have you all listening.